When Marathon was revealed about, I don't know, a year ago or something at this point, the timeline gets kind of fuzzy for me, but I've been keeping my eye on this sorta just to see what kind of game it was gonna be because I wasn't too familiar with the extraction shooter genre before Arc Raiders, and I had no interest in something like Escape from Tarkov. But my first impression of Marathon was that it just looked sort of flat and sort of bland. I had no experience again with extraction shooters, but I was like, if this is what they have to offer, then it just isn't going to be the kind of genre for me. And for a while now, Bungie has been known to, I guess, sort of take their spin on things in a certain subgenre and then bring it to console players like they have done with Destiny, right? So I was sort of looking forward to it in a way, but I wasn't as excited for it. Like, I was gonna probably wait for reviews to come out before launch to see if I really wanted to get into it, but there was nothing about the game that excited me. And most of the stuff that I saw looked just pretty mediocre. Like, the gunplay actually looked pretty good for what it was back then, but it just didn't look anything like jaw-dropping. That's probably because of the environments and everything that surrounded the world of Marathon just kind of fell flat. So like gunplay alone can't really carry a game if everything else is just kind of subpar at best. But I'm going to do something that I know is actually not that common, even though it should be a lot whenever devs take the time with their game and they delay it to make it much better and they listen to community feedback. I'm going to admit that it actually looks really, really good now. I'm actually kind of excited for Marathon to come out, and I definitely couldn't have said that back then. I was just sort of, I guess it was a try it out kind of game, right? I'll try it out maybe if it looks good enough. And if I don't have fun with it, I'll drop it in a couple hours. But it actually looks really, really good. It's actually something I'm kind of excited for the first half of 2026. And yeah, I'm going to be going over a couple of things I feel like they've massively improved since I've last seen it. Again, I've not actually played the game. I've mostly just watched a couple of videos from people I trust not to be acting in bad faith. But I'm going to be going over the things I felt like they've massively improved on since the last time I personally have seen it. And the first thing that instantly caught my eye was the menu and inventory UI. And honestly, I'm not sure how to describe it. It probably just comes down to the art direction of Marathon being so like unique and so like retro simplistic in a way. It just looks like so visually gripping. And the first thing I noticed was, even though I've never played the game, it was easy to understand where everything was, like where your attachment slots are, what things are customizable, your ammo, and like just where everything was on the UI. Even though I've never played the game, it was very easy to understand. I feel like that's probably the biggest thing with UIs nowadays and a lot of live service games is that they're just kind of, it's like over bloated and just there's just stuff everywhere, or at times there's not enough information. I feel like Marathon's UI does a lot in terms of being simple but also having things in the right, I guess, aesthetic order so that it's easy to understand where things are. And you might be saying to yourself, this should just be a no-brainer. I don't understand how this is a positive. Trust me, if you've played live service games, live service FPS or third-person shooter games in the past decade, you know how bad inventory UIs can get. In menu UIs, they can get atrocious and super hard to navigate. Go look at Call of Duty, for example, with their Hulu UIs. It's just something that is so difficult for no reason. There's no reason it should be this difficult when we already have the formula of something that works in the past. So yes, this is a massive positive. On the opposite end, however, the atmosphere looks very like dreary. It almost feels like a horror game for some reason. Like the dreariness, like I said, the retro simplistic. I'm not sure if there's an actual term, but I'm just gonna make up that term because it just sounds natural to me. It just feels like it gives off this like horror atmosphere, this dark and hollow, very gritty atmosphere that it instantly grabs you. Back then, when I saw Marathon, I was like, this just looks like some sort of flat mod or like creator mode in Fortnite. It didn't look like captivating at all, and nothing about it like stood out to me. Now, when I look at it, every shot of Marathon that I see is screenshotable because all of it just looks so atmospheric and like so dark and dreary. I hope this isn't all that it is. I hope that there's a couple of like brighter or I don't know, like just I guess different theme maps that are in the game. Still, the atmosphere just looks incredible. It looks off the charts. And I feel like that's something a lot of games miss out on is the atmosphere. To have that tension there is very, very important. You know, for like slower moments, the feeling that tension because of how dark and intense the atmosphere is very important to engage players. It's not just about like gunplay and, you know, just like how combat in general feels and abilities of the runner shells, which I'll get to later. But it is also about the atmosphere being very intense intense, grounded, and just being able to captivate players. And I feel like they've done massive improvements on that since the last time I've seen Marathon. I guess I'll go with that next though, since I briefly mentioned the runner shells. I guess the abilities of the runner shells, also the customability of the weapons is something that worries me just a little bit, not a lot, but it worries me enough to be, I guess, conscious about it, have my attention pulled to it, because we've seen this time and again where multiplayer games have overpowered abilities. They have to constantly tweak and change and push and pull. Some things are just absolutely busted day one. I don't think there's enough playtesting in the world where a game won't launch with one busted ability. No matter what the game is, one busted ability, agent, hero, shell, whatever it is. That's just how multiplayer games work, right? So there's obviously going to be a constant tweaking and changing, balance nerfs, that kind of thing. But it's something that worries me, especially in this game, seeing as there's seems to be pretty powerful abilities, such as like just going invisible or just like battering shields and stuff like that. They seem to be very powerful if they're used in the right hands. And also, there's potential for them to be exploited with the environment. As we've seen with something like Arc Raiders, people turning up and down foliage and graphic settings and all that nonsense. I don't even know. But it's just like how games are played now at such a hyper-competitive level. They're played to be exploited to the max. And yeah, I really hope that they at least do a playtest or beta before launch so that we can get to experience the game as it's probably going to be at launch. But in terms of like the customization of weapons and making sure that there's no busted attachments and stuff like that, that part worries me a lot less, because I feel like it's a lot less likely, or I guess less easy to exploit. Like if there's a really busted, I don't know, like say it's a muzzle attachment, it gives you basically zero recoil on your LMG or something. That's relatively an easy fix. Just increase the recoil, right? Much more straightforward than nerfing abilities to characters. So that part doesn't really worry me that much. If there are like busted attachments or busted weapons, that is much easier, in my opinion at least, to, I guess, sort of balance and get in line. And just to make it clear, I have no prior history with Bungie's games. I briefly tried Destiny 1 way back then, and like whenever the fuck it released, 2015 or 2014 or whatever. So I don't know much about how Bungie handles their balances, how quick they are to get on top of them. I don't know how quick they are to get to those fixes, but I hope that at least with this game, they're quick on top of those things, because we already know day one there's going to be things that just are going to need to be balanced. That's just how multiplayer games work now. But I've sort of been bouncing around this next point, which is the gunplay looks unbelievably satisfying. Like, I don't know what it is about the gunplay. It looks like that mix, again, like of Destiny, but also it gives me just like some Apex vibes to it. And I'm not sure why, because I doubt any of those Respawn guys who work on gunplay have come over to Bungie. But to me, it just has that mix of Destiny and Apex, which, I mean, if you ask people, what are the best aspects about Destiny? They probably will say in some part, like, its gunplay is super satisfying. As well as if you go to Apex, they don't like a lot of the balancing that happens over there, but they do say that the gunplay is very satisfying. And it just looks to me like a melding of the two. All the muzzle flashes, all the reload animations, I mean, even just the stylized nature of the weapons, all looks so good. It looks so good, dude. I can't wait for the moment where I pick up like an epic or legendary weapon and it has like some unique reload animation, or the sound and the impact it makes is so unique, and I instantly get that dopamine hit. I can't wait for it. Now, to be clear, this isn't a video where I'm going to be going over everything that they showed in both of their newly released videos. If you want to watch those, I'll link them in the description, but you can just literally go to Marathon's page. This is more so a video to, I guess, to say that I am excited now more than I have ever been for Marathon. I wasn't excited for this game at all. At any point, I would have been more excited playing Resident Evil 9 than I would have been for Marathon. But now, Marathon has shot up to like probably in my top 5 most anticipated games of 2026. And this is something that I hope that devs will really take to heart and take a lesson out of Marathon's page. Just because there's overwhelming negativity, obviously Marathon had the very big scandal, the art scandal, and that is something that will never like really fully go away with them. But to go away, just sort of like hibernate in game development, and then to come back and really make a strong showing again of the game, to show that everything that you've done to improve the game and all the feedback that you've taken seriously from fans and not just like hand waved away as like people just hating on the internet and wanting the next Concord. Like now I'm looking at the comments of just multiple videos. I go to each video that talks about Marathon, even just Marathon's video, and everyone just seems generally sort of positive or optimistic, and you couldn't have said that, no way in hell, like 5 or 6 months ago when all the art stuff was going down and generally the game just looked sort of meh. Like no one was that excited. Even like people who are generally just Bungie channels or like Bungie fanboys, they weren't really excited for the game. They just said, okay, yeah, this definitely needs to be delayed. Most studios tuned that out and released the game broken, buggy, unfinished, and I'm so happy. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was someone over there at Sony that gave them the time that they needed to be able to delay it and make it look much better. But now I'm actually very excited for Marathon to release, and I've already pre-ordered. I'll be there day one. I'll be playing it day one. And like I said, that's not something I could have said 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago. So yeah, I wish them nothing but the best. The team over there at Bungie who are working on Marathon. Now that I see that they can definitely respond to community feedback, and when they are given the time, they can make massive improvements on things that people find lacking. I really hope that they hit this out of the park, and I'm just waiting to see how this goes over at launch, because even though I'm excited for it and a lot of other people have been excited for it, there's still people who feel like they've not seen enough. But, you know, again, let's just wait until, let's see what it's like at launch, and then, you know, then we'll go from there. But that's just my take on it. Let me know if y'all are as excited for Marathon now as I am. I know a lot of people don't like to admit it. They just like to hold to the same opinion and be like, no, this always looks trash. There's no way that the first impression was the worst, and it's always going to be like that. You know, I know there's people like that who are just like, you know, stuck in their ways, and, you know, I hope you find some happiness in your life. But also let me know what you are now more excited for after seeing some of his more recent showcases of his gameplay and his systems and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, that's it for me. I'll see you next time.